There's something big happening behind the scenes at the Golden State Warriors, and it's no small thing. While much of the NBA is still dealing with the hangover from the playoffs, those who live for rumors know there are at least 3 quiet moves that could change everything in San Francisco. The kind that mixes a legendary veteran wanting one last chance to lift a trophy, a trade that could reopen a dynasty many have already buried, and negotiation that, if it works out, will make historic headlines the next day. And the craziest part? All of this is happening right now. In the hallways, in late-night phone calls, in contracts no one sees. It's the kind of talk that makes insiders sweat, that keeps fans' notifications on, that makes everyone wonder, is it really happening? So here's what you do. If you're a Warrior to the end, go ahead and hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. Because when these pieces really start moving, and they will move, you'll want to know every detail. And here, I promise, every rumor, every behind-the-scenes twist, every plot twist, I'll bring it to you unfiltered. Stick with me. Trade number 1. Imagine opening the season knowing that your team's future, and maybe even the next decade of basketball in San Francisco, is in the hands of a center who, in practice, is an offensive ghost. That's exactly the crossroads the Golden State Warriors face right now, as the clock ticks down to solve the Jonathan Kuminga drama and, at the same time, decide if it's worth putting all their chips on someone like Mitchell Robinson or Robert Williams III. And this isn't some barbershop speculation. Bobby Marks, a well-respected insider at ESPN, put on the table without hesitation. Moses Moody could be the trade chip to bring Mitchell Robinson from New York straight to Bay Area. But for those who know the Warriors from the inside, this sounds like a walking contradiction. Because Robinson is, yes, an elite rim protector. But offensively, he's a black hole. The guy hasn't even looked at a three-pointer in 7 NBA seasons. And in the series against Indiana, he became easy bait. The Pacers kept fouling him the famous Hacker Robinson because his free throw confidence is as low as some fans' confidence in the front office's ability to rebuild his roster. And here comes a cruel paradox. The Warriors were the team that redefined the NBA with spacing, high-volume shooting, and positionless play, a system that breeds fluid offense. How do you plug in a center who basically shrinks the floor in a system like that? It's like trying to fix a leaking roof with a loose brick. It doesn't make sense, but the rain is falling and someone's got to stop the drip. And it all gets more complicated when you remember that on the other side of the board, the Kuminga situation is still boiling. The kid becomes a restricted free agent on June 30th. If that extension stalls, forget about creating cap space to sign a Brook Lopez and Al Horford, someone who really fits the Warriors' style of play. It's as if each day of uncertainty is another door closing the market. And when the market closes, my friend, desperation knocks like a debt collector. Robert Williams III then becomes Plan B. Or is it Plan C? The Time Lord, when healthy, is everything you want offensively. He switches coverages as naturally as other centers run out of breath. He's a constant threat on the pick and lob, a rim intimidator, an endless motor. But that, when healthy, hurts to say. It's been 61 games total in 3 years. Imagine betting your whole season on a guy who spends more time on the injury report than on the court. Still, anyone who saw that 2021-22 Celtics team knows what a fully fit Williams can deliver. All defense, 7th most votes for Defensive Player of the Year. It's the kind of memory that makes dreamier fans hit the trade button without a second thought. But the front office knows the numbers don't add up that easily. Because Moses Moody, even though he hasn't yet become everything he was promised to be coming out of the draft, is cheap, has room to grow, and at worst is young enough to be worth more than a glass center. It's that eternal question that destroys any peaceful sleep. What if Moody breaks out somewhere else? What if Williams breaks down again when playoff time comes? And there's no point in being nostalgic. There's no more Klay Thompson to take the heat off. The splash is no longer brothers. It's Curry against the world. Klay's departure isn't just a technical gap. It's an emotional hole. The locker room feels it. The fans feel it. And without Wiggins, too, the defensive wing rotation became a desert island. Especially when you think about who's going to close big games switching with giant forwards in the West. Then that image comes to mind. Steph Curry, in yet another lonely practice, shooting from deep while a whole world waits for him to be the hero again. But how long can that last? How long can you stack moral MVPs if there's no longer a fortress of support on the other side? That's where the question no one likes to face comes up. Has the dynasty era really ended and the front office is just covering it up? Or is there still a window for Curry to win one more? That polarization is what fuels the rumor mill, because some say it's worth trading Moody and getting Williams now. Better to try something than stand still watching Denver, OKC, and Minnesota run everyone over. But others argue to hold everything, embrace small ball, put Draymond at the 5 as the anchor, even if his motor, as genius as it is, can't handle 82 games plus another grueling postseason. In the end, that's the Russian roulette the Warriors face now. Either trade the immediate future for a center who might work for a year and then become a headache, or hold a young guy, bet on a Kuminga miracle, and dream of a market that isn't as friendly as it seems. That's it. There's no middle ground. And if there's one thing this franchise has taught us, it's that sometimes it's worth doubling down when everyone says hold your chips. But sometimes costs an entire era. So think about it. If it were you, would you pull the trigger? Would you send Moody to New York, swallow the risk of Williams, and pray for modern medicine to work a miracle? Or would you hold on to everything, keep the cap breathing, and hope a perfect center falls from the sky? Because this story doesn't end today. In fact, it's just getting started. And every behind-the-scenes detail, every GM phone call, every message from an insider like Bobby Marks could be the turning point of the story that already changed the NBA once. Trade number 2. Imagine the irony of a team that revolutionized basketball with speed, shooting, and youth now putting its destiny in the hands of a 39-year-old veteran, just when the whole world is pushing for a rebuild and fresh blood. But if there's one franchise that likes to defy logic, it's the Golden State Warriors. And as crazy as it sounds, Al Horford is a name that could decide whether the dynasty breathes for one more year or finally closes a coffin. In the hallways of Chase Center, the buzz is that Mike Dunleavy, the GM, hasn't slept well in weeks. Since Jimmy Butler landed to become the new partner in crime of Curry and Draymond Green, one thing became clear. Having stars doesn't mean anything if your paint defense is made of paper. Jokic, KT, Sabonis. The Western Monsters don't forgive anyone who dares to enter a playoff series without an anchor in the middle. And the one who revealed all this was Anthony Slater from The Athletic, who rarely misses. Inside the franchise, a stretch center is the top priority. And Horford, available on the market, fresh champion in Boston, fits like a glove. But beyond the tactical fit, it's impossible to ignore what Horford carries on his back. A biography mixing painful defeats, epic comebacks, and resilience that makes any GM rethink the label of too old. The guy's been questioned 1,000 times, and 1,000 times stood taller. Do you really think someone who held the paint against Embiid, Jokic, Giannis for so long will shake in a last dance alongside Curry? He won't. And there's a scene that keeps hammering in the minds of those who live for the behind the scenes. Imagine the pick and pop. Curry running the offense. Draymond organizing the chaos. Jimmy Butler cutting through the fence's blind side. And Horford positioned on the perimeter, waiting for the defense to collapse to stretch out his arm and let go of that three-pointer, that almost silent but deadly shot. That's what keeps the staff up at night. Because unlike other options, Horford doesn't just bring height, rebounds, and blocks. He brings real spacing. A center who spaces the floor is pure oxygen for a team that has always breathed shooting. But on paper, everything looks beautiful. The problem starts when you open the spreadsheet. The Warriors are dangerously flirting with a second apron, that abyss of heavy fines that can swallow even $1 billion team. Using the taxpayer mid-level exception of $5.7 million to bring Horford means locking the cap by force. More than $207 million on payroll, a mountain of luxury tax, less flexibility for any other move. And what if someone gets injured? What if the fit doesn't work? The risk is as big as the reward. And this is where the fan base splits. Some see this move as the breath of life the team needed. The link that transforms a squad that today would be a supporting cast into a roster that truly threatens. But others see it as a desperate shot. Because, let's be honest, 39 years is a wait. And if we learn anything from league history, it's that Father Time doesn't forgive anyone. Ask CP3. Ask Melo. Even ask Iguodala, who was essential but didn't have the legs anymore in his last breath in Golden State. But then comes a what if, always that. What if Boston really decides to let him go? Because let's face it, after a title, the Celtics want to cut costs, get lighter to keep other expensive pieces. Horford knows this. The Warriors know this too. And what if no one offers more than the mid-level? What if Horford, who already has everything in his career, decides to chase one last dance in a franchise that knows what it means to win together? Anyone who's heard Curry talk about Horford knows respect is never lacking. He's a guy nobody hates, nobody underestimates, nobody questions in the locker room. And it's precisely this detail that might weigh more than any worn-out knee. Because if there's one thing Golden State needs right now, more than talent, it's confidence. It's cohesion. The locker room cracked. Lost Wiggins, lost Clay, names that held this culture for years. Today, the veteran voice in there is practically Draymond Green yelling alone. And who holds Draymond when he himself steps out of line? Horford is the kind of veteran who doesn't shout. He guides, doesn't talk tough. He shows on the court. He's an emotional anchor just as much as a technical one. And think about the narrative. Imagine it. Horford locking down the paint while Curry drops 40 points in Game 6. Butler running like he's still 26. Draymond poking at every opposing star until he breaks the other team's mind. It's a new version of the Warriors, almost an endgame version. It's poetry. It's risk. It's everything this franchise has always been. Bold. The same one that hacked the cap to build a big three back in the day. That bet on a three-point system when everyone said it wouldn't work. It's almost like, for this culture, doing nothing is worse than trying going all in. And what if it goes wrong? If Horford's body gives out in mid-January, when Curry is already carrying everything alone, then the fall is harsh, no denying it. The Warriors become hard-capped, unable to move until the market really reopens. But for those who grew up watching this team defy logic, that's the beauty. Live or die playing the way they believe. Meanwhile, every insider, Slater, Dean Simon, Bobby Marks, keeps planting more seeds in the fans' minds. It's the missing piece. It's the cool-headed veteran. It's the low-risk, high-reward that can cost dearly if it fails. It's all that at once. So the question that won't go away is this. If you were in Mike Dunleavy's shoes, would you pull the trigger? Go all in the name of one more spring with Curry? Or let it pass? Swallow the harsh reality and accept that maybe it's time to clear space for youth, spend less and rebuild from within? There's no right answer. And that's exactly what makes every rumor feel like a trailer for something bigger. Trade number 3. Imagine the scene. Stephen Curry alone in the gym, low light, just the sound of the ball bouncing on the cold floor. He takes a deep breath, wipes the sweat, looks at the ceiling, and thinks about what might be about to happen. It's as if every shot is a silent message. Give me one more chance. And that chance now has a name and surname. Giannis Antetokounmpo. The rumor that surfaced on June 29th via the @Butler News account is not just another whisper that vanishes in the early morning. It's a thunderclap echoing in every insider, every bar table, every newsroom that covers the NBA. Giannis isn't just a player. He's a game changer. An MVP who single-handedly lifted an entire franchise, turned the Bucks into champions after a 50-year drought, and even so, leaves the court carrying the weight of the swallow. What if I don't have another chance to win here? That's what he told the New York Times, almost like a warning. I want to be where I can win. If it's not in Milwaukee, it will have to be somewhere else. At the time, it seemed like just rhetoric. Today, it comes back as prophecy. Behind the scenes at Golden State, this rumor is like a siren song. Seductive, risky, impossible to ignore. Mike Dunleavy Jr. knows the margin for error is minimal. The core that supported 4 titles no longer exists the same way. Klay Thompson, an icon, is gone. Wiggins, a vital part of 2022, is a bargaining chip. Kuminga, promising but still a prospect. Everything can become trade bait to turn the team from a maybe contender into the absolute favorite. But the question is it really worth giving up tomorrow to guarantee today? Think about the irony. It was that same Warriors team that shocked the world in 2016 when they attracted Kevin Durant, an offensive alien who fit into a passing and shooting system as if born in the Bay Area. Giannis isn't KD. He doesn't have an elite jumper, doesn't knock down threes like breathing. He's brute force, paint, transition, screens, lobs. He's an avalanche that destroys any defense. But fitting that avalanche into a system that breeds spacing and flow, it's the kind of experiment that can create a monster or collapse. And the cost? Because nobody believes Milwaukee will give up an icon for crumbs. Wiggins, Kuminga, picks through 2030, maybe even Jordan Poole in a more elaborate scenario. It's the future walking out the door. Every first-round pick turns into a calculated risk. Either this Curry, Draymond, Butler, Giannis core brings a championship, or the Warriors become a frozen team, stuck in fines, with no room to adjust. It's all or nothing at full volume. Then you take a breath, close your eyes, and imagine the other side of the story. Bucks fans wake up every day with a lump in their throat. Is today the day Giannis leaves? Because it's not just losing the best player of the recent history. It's giving up an era that, in a way, gave dignity back to Milwaukee. And there's still Lillard in the equation, stuck in limbo. Stay? Leave? Restart with youth around? No one knows. But one thing's for sure, if Giannis leaves, the Bucks blow it all up. And maybe that's the only way to not lose him for free when the contract tightens. And what if they don't trade now? What if they hold on one more season, betting everything on an unlikely magic, risking seeing his value plummet? It's the kind of decision that steals sleep from GMs, franchise owners, anyone who's ever stepped on a court and knows loyalty has an expiration date. Loyalty is beautiful until the day losing again hurts more than staying. Meanwhile, Curry keeps shooting alone. Draymond Green bites his tongue because he's the type to say what he thinks but knows any wrong word can be tomorrow's headline. Jimmy Butler, newly arrived, watches from the sidelines. He knows what it's like to be seen as the final piece of the puzzle. He also knows the price of standing at the edge of the cliff. Imagine the scene. Curry leading, Draymond stirring trouble, Butler cutting to the basket, Giannis smashing everything at the rim. It's almost poetic if it works. But here lies the poison. What if it doesn't work? What if the fit is awkward, chemistry fails, personalities clash? The NBA is full of super teams that looked unbeatable on paper and melted when the ball went up. Ask the Brooklyn Nets how it went putting together KD, Kyrie, and Harden. Ask the Lakers with Westbrook. Sometimes, too much talent together creates more problems than it solves. Sometimes the ceiling is so high no one can climb the ladder. And that's why every repost of this rumor shakes the algorithm. Every word from Giannis is dissected. Every silence from the Bucks front office is interpreted as a clue. Warriors fans already joke, "Come to the sun, Greek freak." Meanwhile, Milwaukee fans pray it's just smoke. But the deeper the offseason goes, the hotter the fire burns. In the end, it's a story about legacy. Curry knows he doesn't have much time. His body still responds, but no one's immortal. Draymond knows that without Clay, without Wiggins, without depth, carrying everything on his shoulders is utopia. The front office knows a chance to get a 29-year-old MVP, still in his prime, doesn't come along every day. It's too tempting to ignore. And for Giannis, maybe it's time to turn the page, just like Durant did, just like LeBron did in Miami, then Cleveland, then LA. But here's my question for you. Would you do the same? If you were the GM, would you send Kuminga in half the future draft just to see Curry raise another trophy alongside a 2.11M monster who runs the court like a point guard? Or would you let the dust settle, hold what you have, and trust that every dynasty needs to die for another to be born? Because in the end, that's what the rumor delivers, a living script. It's not just a trade. It's backstage war, it's fear, it's hope. It's fans dreaming again, or preparing to watch the castle crumble. If there's one thing this league's history has taught us, it's that nothing is impossible when someone decides to risk everything for one more spark of glory. So here's what you do. Subscribe here, leave a like, and stay with me. Because if Giannis really wears blue and gold, there will be tears, shouts, celebration, and downfall. There will be Curry smiling like someone who knows there's still gas in the tank. The entire NBA will stop to watch the impossible become real. And if it doesn't happen, well, then the saga just gets crazier. And I'll be here to tell you everything, detail by detail, rumor by rumor, until the very last second. Because one thing is certain, when the name is Giannis, nothing ends quietly.